I would like to ask Professor Jayakar whether he would be interested in presenting his paper right now. Professor?
Yes,
Will it be possible?
yes, Professor Maria.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. So, dear all, I would like to ask Professor Paul Jayakar to present his talk. Professor Jayakar works at the American College, Madurai, India, and we have been collaborating for some time. I'm very happy that we have him here. He is a wonderful teacher, he has a lot of knowledge about Anglophone literature, and his today's talk will be about familial connections in Avni Doshi's novel Burnt Sugar. I'm sure that we will learn a lot from his talk, from his wise words. So, Professor, the stage is yours.
Yeah. Is it visible, Maria?
Yes, okay. It is. Thank you.
Okay. So good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to be here in this very special conference by the Constantine, the Philosopher University in Nitra, Slovakia, collaborating with other universities and colleges. And we are very happy that we also happen to be the American College, Madurai, India. And we are very thankful to Maria, Dr. Martina, and all the professors of the Department of English and American Studies, the Constantine the Philosopher University in Nitra, Slovakia, for collaborating with the American College, Madurai, and giving us a space in the academia to share our thoughts and also to collaborate with the department by taking a few courses. We have done 2 courses and we are planning for the next course for the spring 2025. And it is a great privilege for all of us to be here. My colleagues are there and they will be presenting papers today and tomorrow. And I would like to congratulate Dr. Maria, Dr. Martina, and all the faculty of the Department of English and American Studies, Constantine the Philosopher University, for giving us an opportunity to present our ideas in this international conference. And I would also like to convey my principal, Dr. Christopher's wishes to the department and to the university. So we are very happy to be here. And also I thank Dr. Sala, who gave a comprehensive talk on the title From the Platonic Poiesis to Knowledge. It was very good, very deep, and very interesting too. Though my cup of tea is not poetry, but I've done a little, teaching on poetry. But today I would like to talk about a major issue in literature: family connections. So the title is Family Connections in Avni Doshi's Burnt Sugar. These relationships often reflect larger cultural values and internal conflicts. Indian writing in English, in particular, has produced many works in recent years that tackle these themes with great depth and nuance. One such example is Avni Doshi's Burnt Sugar, a novel that gives us an honest and unflinching portrayal of a turbulent mother-daughter relationship. When I say this, I'm reminded of Margaret Lawrence's The Stone Angel, which is also a complex mother-daughter, daughter-in-law relationship. So this particular research paper aims to explore how Doshi represents the complexities of memory, identity, and intergenerational trauma in Burnt Sugar through an analysis of how familial connections are depicted in the novel. Avni Doshi, an American author of Indian heritage, is well known for Burnt Sugar, which was published in India under the title Girl in White Cotton and made the 2020 Booker Prize shortlist. Now, many of you would be wondering why Burnt Sugar and The Girl in White Cotton. The Girl in White Cotton was published when it was done in Indian edition, and Burnt Sugar for international edition, primarily due to marketing and cultural reasons. Of course, when we hear the word cotton, cotton evokes ideas of purity, tradition, simplicity, kindness, fragility of relationship, innocence, or vulnerability. Maybe there is poetry also in it. And Burnt Sugar talks about or means bitter taste. Bitter taste. It also means pain, resentment, emotional scars, memory, betrayal, and so on and so forth. And that is why Avni Doshi, when she published this outside India, titled this as Burnt Sugar. Avni Doshi, born in New Jersey, and having spent time living in India, Doshi brings a unique perspective that blends Western and Indian traditions. Western and Indian traditions. A lot of works, common themes in a work include memory, mother-daughter relationships, and the intricacies of family dynamics. When I was reading this, if a researcher applies post-colonial theory, it would facilitate the researcher to examine how cultural narrative shapes identity and relationships. The turbulent mother-daughter relationship in this novel, Burnt Sugar, could be seen as a reflection of both personal and societal struggles in post-colonial India, highlighting the tension between tradition and modernity. So we go to the next slide. In Burnt Sugar, the main character, Antara, provides a compelling perspective on the complexities of family relationships. Her bond with her mother Tara is filled with unanswered questions and deep resentment. Alongside dealing with her mother's failing memory, Antara is also forced to confront her own memories of a chaotic and unloved childhood. The novel explores family dynamics through this dual lens of past and present, and memory plays a significant role in how the characters perceive and relate to each other. Tara's memory becomes a major concern due to her Alzheimer's disease. This is fast becoming a problem with many, not just the old, but for the young also. As Tara begins to forget the past, Antara becomes the sole keeper of their troubled history, one marked by emotional abuse and neglect. Doshi captures the bitterness in their relationship with lines like, I quote, "I would be lying if I said my mother's misery has never given me pleasure," close quote. In another instant, Antara reflects, I quote again, "My mother knew I was lying, but she chose to pretend I was not." This was her method of preserving our fragile peace. Fragile peace, close quote. Antara also describes their relationship with the words, I quote again, "Tara had always been more of a child than a mother, and I have been forced to become the adult in our relationship," close quote. The novel explores into the idea of trauma can be inherited and shapes the way family members relate to one another. Antara's early experiences with her mother's erratic behavior and sense of abandonment have deeply affected her ability to form strong relationships and maintain a cohesive identity. Antara admits, I quote, "The past had a way of creeping back no matter how much I tried to push it away," close quote. Julie Phillips, a reviewer, observes that, I open quote, "Doshi's narrative captures the pervasive and often corrosive effects of trauma on familial bonds, illustrating how unresolved pain can seep into the next generation," close quote. Antara explains her trauma further with the words, I quote, "Living with her was like walking on a tightrope, never knowing when I might fall," close quote. Anita Desai, a literary critic, comments, I open quote, "In Burnt Sugar, Doshi emotionally depicts how the scars of childhood can shape an individual's identity and perception of family, suggesting that the past is never truly past," close quote. In Burnt Sugar, the character of Tara is complex with a past actions portrayed as both painful and sympathetic. Though she doesn't shy away from showing Tara's flaws, but she also offers an insight into the societal pressures and internal conflicts that shaped her. Tara's unconventional choices and rebellious behavior can be seen as both an attempt at personal liberation and unintentional neglect of her daughter. The novel also addresses societal expectations placed on women and how these influence family relationships. Tara's decision to join an ashram and live a life outside societal norms causes tension with her family. Yet it is also an act of rebellion. Doshi explores the conflict between personal desires and social expectations, showing how these pressures can strain family bonds. Ranjana Sengupta notes Doshi deftly illustrates the conflict between societal expectations and personal aspirations, portraying how Tara's unconventional choices disrupt traditional family structures. Again, another critic, Gauri Vishwanathan, adds Tara's journey is emblematic of a broader struggle against patriarchal norms, reflecting the societal shifts in contemporary India. Close quote. Despite the disruption Tara causes, her actions highlight the importance of personal agency in the face of oppressive systems. One of the novel's central themes is cyclical nature of family connections. Despite the pain and resentment between Antara and Tara, there remains an enduring bond. This is evident in the brief but poignant moments of care and affection that punctuate their relationship. Doshi's narrative suggests that while family relationships can be fraught, they are also characterized by a complex sense of attachment and belonging towards the novel's conclusion. There is also a slow movement toward acceptance and reconciliation. Antara begins to understand the complexities of her mother's personality and the external forces that shaped her behavior. This deeper understanding allows for a more nuanced view that moves beyond simply blaming or forgiving. Another critic, Meena Kandasamy, puts it, burnt sugar's gradual process of reconciliation reflects a deep understanding of the inherent complexities in familial love and forgiveness. There's another critic who adds, Priya Nair says, Doshi's exploration of reconciliation is not about resolving all conflicts, but about understanding and accepting the multifaceted nature of human relationships, close quote. This speaks to the resilience of family ties. I would like to conclude. So in conclusion, Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi offers a profound exploration of family dynamics, particularly the complex and often difficult bond between mother and daughter. Through themes of memory, trauma, and the societal expectations. Doshi creates a powerful depiction of how past actions shape present identities and relationships. Ultimately, the novel offers a moving reflection on the enduring nature of family connections and the possibility of reconciliation. This is what my paper is all about. I'm sure that you would have thought about it by now. A lot of instances where we also have struggles, especially in relationships. And as I was preparing for this presentation, I stumbled upon one poem by Kamala Das. The title is My Mother at 66. I did find quite a lot of similarities, so I thought I could share that also now. First, I would read the poem to you. Driving from my parents' home to Cochin last Friday morning, I saw my mother beside me doze, open-mouthed, her face ashen like that of corpse, and realized with pain that she was old as she looked, but soon put the thought away and looked out, young trees sprinting, the merry children spilling out of their homes. But after the airport's security check, standing a few yards away, I looked again at her, worn, pale as a late winter's moon, and felt that old familiar ache, my childhood's fear. But all I said was, "See you, Amma." All I did was smile and smile and smile by Kamala Das. This poem, My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das, is a very emotional poem which actually captures the complex emotions surrounding the aging and the speaker's relationship with her mother. So in this poem, the speaker observes her mother's frailty as they travel together, reflecting on the inevitability of time and the sorrow of impending loss. This imagery is striking, particularly in the way the mother is likened to a dead tree, symbolizing decay and the passage of life. The emotional tone shifts between nostalgia, love, sadness, illustrating the speaker's deep concern for her mother's well-being. So, friends, I did see quite a lot of similarities between Burnt Sugar and Kamala Das's My Mother at 66. I believe that by now you would have, recollected poems or novels or your own experience with your family. So this relationship, especially the mother-daughter relationship, no, I wouldn't, stop with that. But mother, son, husband, wife, children, parents, all these, we have all these, family dynamics. Therefore, finally, the love between us, finally wins. So that is what I wanted to share with you. If you have any suggestions, if you would like to add any point, you are most welcome now. Once again, I would like to thank Maria and our friends at Constantine, the Philosopher University, Nitra, for giving us an opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Maria.
Thank you, Professor, for your very interesting talk about contemporary novel and contemporary issues relevant not only in your culture, but I believe, but those are really universal issues here in Slovakia, in Central Europe, we also sense this possible conflicts between generations. So I'm really glad that you introduced this topic. Before I ask a question, I would like to ask the audience. Maybe there will be other people who would like to ask something. So if there is a question, you can either post it in a chat or you can raise your hand or say it just aloud.
Yes, Maria.
Yeah, go ahead, Professor.
Thank you, Professor, for this interesting presentation. It's interesting and comprehensive and up-to-date, in fact, issue. You have talked about trauma and memory, and I believe these two terms are connected because trauma and memory, and also, in most cases, trauma are being relived throughout the process of memory. But I just want to ask you about the source of trauma because you're talking a lot about trauma and traumatic experience from a generation to generation. In fact, I like the novel, but this is the first time I heard about Avni Doshi's and her novel Burnt Sugar, which has so many interesting aspects to study, in fact, and to analyze. But I just want to ask you about the source of trauma. And are they immigrants to America, for example? Because Avni Doshi is living in New Jersey, so she's an immigrant. So do you think they have previous experiences in their immigration or from moving from India to America? And they have they have moved the trauma with them. Yani, they did not leave the trauma in India and move it to America. So I just want to ask about the source of trauma uh, and also about the reasons. Because if Tara and her mother are living in the diaspora in America as a host country, then I would expect so many conflicts and misunderstandings and bad family relationship to start between her and her mother. So these are the questions, the sources of the trauma, and if they are immigrants, though, I would expect such things to happen.
Well, okay. So, Doshi, born in New Jersey, but presently I believe she's living in Dubai with her husband, but then an Indian origin. So what I come to know from the reading is that whenever we shift, immigration happens, we move, but we also take along with us the culture. For example, when our people move to US, they go very happily. But once the children attain the age of 18, 19, in US, Americans become very independent. But
Yes.
our people, they don't want them to become independent. For example, in the case of marriage, immediately our people would say, somehow we'll have to find a person from our place, from our native place. When that doesn't happen, that's where the trauma happens, the pain. But they accept it because those children are born there, but then they carry from one generation to the other generation. Then they go. So here also what I believe is that even the other novel that I told you, Margaret Lawrence's The Stone Angel. So that old lady, 93, 94, she goes on her own thinking and she doesn't want to be with her daughter-in-law. So there is a trauma. Again, here, though it's painful, it's traumatic, but then that is how it goes. So when she goes to the ashram means, no, she goes against the practices that are practiced in a society like India. See, in India presently, if a mother or father, after the age of 60, 70, if they are put in elderly home, that is seen very, very negative.
Yes.
But again, postmodernism. Now things are slightly changing. Parents themselves, they decide and inform the children that we will be in the elderly home.
Yes. Yeah.
Though we accept it, it's very difficult for us because our culture doesn't accept it. So in our family circle, our friends, they will come and ask why your parents are there. You are doing well off. Why can't you keep them in? So these kind of struggles, so there are a lot of trauma, but then finally, the bond, familial bond, love would always take it. But still, there are a lot of other, points could be discussed, as you also said. Maybe if you have anything from your point of view, you can tell us, Dr. Salah. I would be happy
Okay,
to know.
doctor. Okay, doctor. I have some more questions, so allow me if you don't bother me to ask because it's interesting, right? So what I understand from your answer and the presentation is that the place has an influential role to play in shaping those dynamic relationships or those conflicts, in fact, between mother and daughter. So do you think a place has, and if those Tara and her mother were living in India, they would behave in a different way other than being living in USA, for example? So do you think a place has a role to play in shaping
It has
the
a role,
identity?
but then it is overcome by the uh, uh, the individuals' family traditions.
Uh-huh. So you think that those Indians have transformed their Indian culture with them, right?
Yes,
So they have not adapted to the US like culture, and this what triggers, in fact,
yes, yes,
the
yes.
yes.
In
Okay,
in a lot of
thank you.
places in US, I've seen my friends' family. The parents are the them,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not in an American system. The parents are
Yeah,
they're separate, and it doesn't bother them. That's how it is. Even when I was in States, I visited a home which is called as Kindle, where there are elderly people. For
mm-hmm.
me, when I went there to see some of our friends, it was really painful. Their
Yeah,
their children are there in certain places. Why these elderly people are here? But for them, it doesn't matter. You know,
yes, yeah,
so I would say that it's very difficult for me. I had my father till his death. You
yeah.
know, to
Yes, living
ask
with
him
them.
or when even when he suggested, can I go and stay in some other place? I said no, however difficult it is.
Yeah,
So we have a kind of a happiness in that. So it is the one that which embraces.
yes.
And of
Doctor, I
course,
think the
there
same
are certain
situation.
people who, as you rightly say, the place would strongly
Yes,
influence. But I believe that finally it is our tradition and culture which
yeah,
would win finally.
yes. I think the same situation is here in Iraq. Yani, we keep our parents with us until the very end of their life. Yani, we don't believe in sending them to these nursery houses for old people. Because I think part of our duty is to pay them back because they took care of us throughout our life. And now it's our turn. So it's a kind of, I believe, it's a kind of an act of ungratefulness to
Yes,
those people
exactly.
who have spent their life taking care of us, and now when they need us, we just leave them, right? So the same situation, I think, in Iraq, it's an act of shame, in fact, to leave your. Again,
I,
thank you very much. Thank you
that,
very much for this
but then
presentation.
slowly it may change. I'm not very sure, but I do see a little changes happening in this kind of setup, especially in the 2020s.
Yeah,
So we do not know, like you and I almost
yeah, yeah,
belong to the
yeah,
same
yeah. I would
generation.
belong to the same generation, but the new generation might have different ideas.
Exactly, exactly.
Probably they would send us, our sons, when they would send us to elderly houses. Thank you very much, Professor, for this presentation and for
Thank you,
this.
Professor, for asking those very interesting and important questions, because basically these are part of us, part of our lives.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Maria, for giving this time to discuss things with Dr. Paul.
Thank you both. We have a question in the chat. So I have a very important person in my life that unfortunately comes from abused home and do not want kids because of saying abused will become abuser. They are very worried that they will bring pain from generation before them on their own children. Okay, how would you respond to such an opinion?
I would like to ask, unfortunately comes from
So
abuse.
they come from an abuse background.
Because saying abuse will become abuser. They're very worried that they are.
This is a psychological question.
Generation from.
Yes, Professor.
Yeah. This is, I believe that it is deeply embedded in their psyche, the pain. Abused will become abuser. Abused will become abuser. We cannot generalize this. We cannot generalize this. This is a very rare case. Probably someone will have to counsel this particular family or that particular person, but we cannot generalize this. Out of 100, probably 98, 97 are not like this. Here again in India, we see the same. One day I read in paper that a son left his mother in the station and disappeared. And the mother was crying. And finally, the police brought that fellow, and then they counseled finally, and then they sent the mother along with the son. So this is a very rare case. The abused will become the abuser. Is a very rare case, I believe. But if that happens, it's very sad. It's very, very sad. So they are very worried that they brought pain from generation. No, I don't think so. It doesn't pass on from generation to another person, another generation. He could be like an angel, Love would win finally.
Thank you, Professor. And I will have one question, maybe the last one in this part of the discussion. Indian culture is very much rooted in religious traditions of Hinduism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam, and other religious traditions, all of which say that it's very important to obey our parents and to feel gratitude towards them for what they have done for us. What role does spirituality play in this intergenerational conflict that you can either observe today in Indian society or in the novel that you discussed? Does it mean that younger generation is more secularized, or do they have some mental struggles concerning the spiritual rules or laws that they should obey, but they become involved in this conflict between with their parents? What is your
good observation, Maria? Excellent. Your observation is exactly 100%, because this particular generation is more secular. They think that being secular is something that could go with the world. But, our generation, we were very, very close with the family and spiritual, that only helped us to be better. I would not say the best, better. Doesn't mean that this generation is bad, but their thinking is slightly different. They are very secular. Supposing when we ask them, okay, tomorrow is morning, we'll go to the church, immediately say, why morning? Let's go in the evening. Can we skip it? Then we'll have to put our foot and now get ready by 7 o'clock. This has to come from them. Probably, parents, we do quite a lot of things, maybe, as you rightly say, little more of, counseling on this side. Spirituality definitely will help, to solve these problems, I would say. I'm with you. I'm with you. We do not know, but the how to go about it's very difficult, because we cannot simply say that you do this, you read the Bible and things like that. When they say no, how do you react? But I believe that this definitely will always help this younger generation to be more with the family. Being secular, they think sometimes is the order of the day. I don't know. Yes, Maria.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Once again, I would like to thank you for your very interesting talk. I'm sure many people from the audience will be inspired to read the novel and to learn more about the author. So thank you a lot again for the responses to the questions also. And now I would like to ask a colleague of mine, Professor Martina Juričková,